to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Shenell Felix. And guys, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want to ask. But this morning, we are jumping straight ahead and we're talking all things T.H.A elections 2026. And to have this conversation with me this morning, I have the privilege of sitting in studio and chatting with the Assistant Chief Election Officer, Mrs. Pamela Ogiste. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for inviting us.
Right, and so you're currently in Tobago, and the election season is in full swing. We have all the campaigning happening and all the walkabouts. It's definitely a mix of Christmas and election in the air here in Tobago. We want to start off by talking a bit about, one of those topics that has been on the cards within recent weeks. Leading up to this election, there has been changes within the district of Bagatelle, Bacalet, and Mason Hall, Mariah. So some shifts has taken place there, and they have now been converted to Mason Hall South and Mason Hall North. Talk to us a bit about that.
All right. So, well, again, thank you and good morning to everyone. So let me start by saying that the Elections and Boundaries Commission is mandated through the Local Government and Tobago House of Assembly Acts to review electoral districts and boundaries and submit these reports to the Minister of Local Government. So boundaries and district names are either adjusted or altered based on the rules set out in the second schedule. And so the distribution of the electorate across the electoral districts within the electoral district of Tobago, the electoral area of Tobago, was analyzed for conformance with this second schedule. And this identified the need for the delimitation of Mason Hall, Mariah, and that was the district with the highest electorate across the island. And so, one polling division, 4948, which was in the Mason Hall, Mariah electoral district, having an electorate of 285 persons, was transferred from this district to Bagatelle, Bacalet, resulting, of course, again, this was in conformance with the second schedule of the Act. And so, to best represent communities within these districts following the adjustment to the boundaries, the name of both districts were assessed and the following changes were made. So, Mason Hall, Mariah was now renamed Mason Hall North, Mariah. And Bagatelle, Bacalet was renamed to Mason Hall South, Bagatelle. But what I want to stress to members of the public, certainly persons in Tobago, that subdivision exercises do not impact the electoral district or constituency in which one is registered to vote. So I want to make that abundantly clear. Yeah, I hope that brings some clarity.
Excellent. And so, we talk about the population size within the district having an impact on the changes made. Can you talk to us a bit about that? What is the mechanism that the Elections and Boundaries Commission uses to decide, okay, I think it was 20-something% above how much?
No. So if we have to go into that, it may take us a little longer than the time I have this morning.
Okay.
However, as I mentioned, under the second schedule, all right, we must ensure that all the districts run within the same electorate. So you can't have one that is extremely high. All right. And as you spoke about the population, just to let you know that the electorate as at the 10th of December stands at 53,152 persons. So to date, those are the persons eligible to vote.
Excellent. And so for persons who were in the previous districts as they were, is it that they should go and find out if they have to vote in a new polling station now, or would that be notified to them when they receive their polling card?
So I want to tell you, we have polling divisions within each electoral district. And the only thing that changes are persons' polling divisions. However, you remain in your same district. One can easily get that information through your poll cards, but if you want to know ahead, the preliminary list will be posted in 2 separate areas in each polling division throughout the island. That exercise commences on Monday. In addition to that, preliminary lists will be posted both at our registration office, Scarborough, Hamilton Street, Scarborough, Tobago, and we also have a sub-office located in the Roxborough Administrative Complex. So one can do that. Other than that, you have our hotline. We have numbers 785-8206, 785-8211, and of course our website, www.ebctt.com.
Excellent. And we shift a bit because I have seen recently that there have been a notification out for persons to register to become a special voter. Tell us about the special voter process and who is eligible to become a special voter.
All right, so we have a host of categories, but the concentrate are actually or really poll day staff, polling agents, candidates, persons who perhaps work in Trinidad, unable to be here on election day, vice versa. Those are the majority of persons, and the law provides for that. Those application forms are out as we speak, online. In this instance, we're doing it online. And I forgot to mention members of the protective services, because they, of course, engage entire poll day and even for the earlier events, they totally occupied. All right, so we want to encourage persons to apply, particularly persons who fall into these categories. All right, those applications, the deadline for that is the close of the workday on the 19th of December. Excellent.
And even as the special voting process goes on, what day do those persons usually vote? Is it like a few days? Because election is on Monday, so would they be voting on the Friday before, or is it the Sunday?
So usually that voting as a special elector usually commences just the Monday a week, normally a week ahead of the election. But there are different categories. So there are persons, so usually we set up commission stations or stations established by the commission, and that focuses on any category of voter. So for instance, we would have a commission station probably in Port of Spain to accommodate such persons, Tobagonians who unfortunately couldn't be in Tobago on election day. And similarly, we would have a commission station based in Scarborough to accommodate any category of elector. Usually voting also takes place at the offices of the returning officers. In this instance, we have 4 returning officers, and they are located at the Calder Hall Multipurpose. One is at the Calder Hall Multipurpose, another at the Lambo Multipurpose, another at the Buku Multipurpose, and finally at the Glamorgan Multipurpose facilities. So when special voting takes place, you have to be in the electoral districts for whom these returning officers control.
Understood. And what about the persons who are already on the special voters list? Do they still have to register again this year, or is it set in stone?
One never remains on a special voter list. Okay. So one must apply. So as I said, the forms are online. Again, just to mention, www.ebctt.com. So you can go on our portal, and of course you have to apply online. And subsequently, you are granted the status. So it's not automatic. All right, you are subsequently granted the status, and then you are notified.
Understood. And, even as we round up, we're talking about training, EBC training. A number of persons use the opportunity to work for elections and to engage in that election process by means of, volunteering their services. Is it that you usually utilize the persons who, there was elections just a few months ago? Are those persons going to be called back and asked to participate in this election? But I also saw that the Division of Community Development has announced that a couple of their multi-purpose facilities would be closed during the season to facilitate EBC training. So is it that you call back the same people for training?
Well, if I didn't know better, Shenell, I would swear that you're inside the EBC. So yes, having just come out of the parliamentary election, the commission saw it best to just recall those persons who would have been trained and who would have performed. So in this instance, we will recall all persons who applied, and again, we are mandated by law to train these persons again. And yes, we use the multi-purpose facilities. We use large halls in schools, etc. We use Bishop's High School, Signal Hill. We use a varying government facilities. And so, yes, those centers are used. So training for poll day staff actually commences on the 17th. I think to about the 22nd or so. One would appreciate, whilst we're in the Christmas season, that everything else has to happen as it regards the preparation for these elections. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, for instance, is an important activity, the pre-examination of nomination papers. It's the opportunity for potential candidates to visit the returning officers, ensure that your documents are intact, that you have everything that you need to. And if you don't, next Friday, the 19th, is actually nomination day. And that is the day when you must have all your documents ready. And so we want to encourage persons to use tomorrow as an ideal opportunity to ensure that all your documents are correctly written up and submitted to your returning officers.
And where are the returning officers located?
Oh, I did mention before. Okay. Lambo, Buku, Calder Hall, and Glamorgan.
Excellent.
Yes?
Excellent.
And so they have varying districts under their perusal.
So there are no new persons that would be engaged to work as election day staff this time around. It would just be the existing.
Yes. The quota, the complement of the persons who applied last time, and some would have not been selected because having undergone the training, there's also an evaluation exercise, and one must satisfy the criteria for that, right? So you'd find that whilst we probably would have maybe 3,000 or plus persons applying, we don't need them, but we would of course shortlist, train, and then select.
Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much for being here this morning and giving us that, well-rounded understanding of the EBC's process during this T.H.A. election time. And we are praying for a smooth, incident-free election, one that is fair. And so we look forward to that. Again, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for coming to Tobago and, spending the time.
Well, let me correct you, Shenell. I am from Tobago.
Okay.
Yes, I live in Tobago, Shenell.
Right. All right. Well, I know you said you have to jet off as soon as we're done here, so I just assumed you were going back to the headquarters.
Yes, I am, but on another matter.
Okay. Well, you are going to be here for the entire election season, for all the drama.
Yes.
Right?
And I imagine, well, not I imagine, I know for a fact that the chief election officer, the members of the commission, they'd all be here.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's an eventful season
indeed
ahead, and we look forward to all that is about to unfold. Well, guys, remember that the T.H.A. election for 2026 is actually going to be happening on January 12th, just in case you forgot that. And well, next week, Friday, we're hearing that is the official day for filing of nominations. And, usually sometimes we see a big display from the candidates coming out to file their nomination. So that's an event to pay attention to.
And if you just allow me, just to ask political parties to be conscious of the fact that this is a critical part of the process. And whilst I know they come in with the music and the drums and the so forth, the returning officers have to focus on what is happening on the inside. So usually the persons who are allowed to enter is one, the candidate or his agent. All right, so those are the persons who go into the office. But whilst the others are outside, we're asking, please, if you can be conscious of what is happening inside and just tone down the music and the drumming and so forth until that process is completed.
Understood. Well, you meaning when the person emerges out?
Yes, they can start, but sometimes whilst they're inside, the noise is just overwhelming.
Understood. Well, again, we want to thank you so much for being here this morning, and we look forward to a successful 2026 T.H.A. elections. Guys, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back after this. See you soon.
Yeah.
Good.
right. No Shenell. Ronald.